The Empire targeted Earth and received just one terrifying warning part. The blue light of dozens of monitors reflected off Dr. Allison Gray's glasses as she studied the unusual readings. For the fifth night in a row, the Deep Space Observatory, array in Nevada, had picked up strange radiation patterns from the outer solar system. They were too regular, too precise to be natural. "Jack, come look at this," she called to her assistant. Jack Boyd looked up from his own workstation and walked over. "Still there?" "Yes, and getting stronger. Whatever it is, it's moving toward us." Jack frowned. "Should we alert the director?" Allison nodded. "I already sent the data. They're calling an emergency meeting tomorrow morning." Millions of miles away, Captain Frank Heller stood on the bridge of the UEF Horizon, Earth's most advanced military vessel. Through the reinforced viewports, Jupiter's swirling storms provided a beautiful backdrop as his crew performed routine system checks. "Status report," Frank said, turning to his second-in-command. Lieutenant Susan Miller looked up from her console. "All systems normal, Captain. We'll be ready to return to Earth orbit in 48 hours. Frank nodded. Something felt off today. 20 years in space had given him a sixth sense for trouble, and right now that sense was screaming at him. Before he could voice his concerns, the emergency communication system activated. "UEF Horizon, this is Admiral Nash. Priority 1 communication." Frank moved to the private terminal. "This is Captain Heller. Go ahead, Admiral. Return to Earth immediately. Full burn. We have a situation." Frank felt his stomach tighten. "What kind of situation?" "The kind we've been preparing for since 2075. We're not alone anymore, Frank." At NASA headquarters, Director Patricia Wells watched as the world's top scientists and military leaders filed into the conference room. On the large screen behind her, a series of images showed something massive moving past Saturn's rings. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said once everyone was seated. 12 hours ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected multiple objects entering our solar system. They are artificial in nature and moving at speeds we cannot match with our current technology." The room erupted in whispers. Patricia raised her hand for silence. "Dr. Gray from the Nevada Observatory will brief you on the details." Allison stood and moved to the front of the room. She felt the weight of every eye on her. The objects appeared suddenly near Neptune. Based on their speed and trajectory, they will reach Earth in approximately 5 days. "We've detected no radio communications or standard signals from them," a general in the front row spoke up. "Could they be asteroids or some natural phenomenon?" "No," Allison replied firmly. "They are changing course in ways that defy natural physics. They are ships, and based on their movements, they are scanning our solar system." In his private laboratory below the Pentagon, Dr. Alan Murphy worked frantically. As the government's lead researcher on extraterrestrial possibilities, he had been preparing for this day for years. Now, analyzing the data coming in from the deep space monitors, he made a shocking discovery. "They've been watching us," he mumbled to himself, "for decades." He pulled up historical satellite data and compared it to the new readings. The pattern was clear. The same energy signature had been detected multiple times over the past 50 years, always dismissed as instrument error or cosmic background radiation. But Alan knew better. The visitors had been studying Earth, learning about humans, preparing for this moment. On a massive ship near the rings of Saturn, Emperor Kha'Zix watched the holographic display of the solar system. His elongated fingers traced the blue-green planet third from the sun. "Such a primitive species," he said to his commander. "Their technology is barely beyond their own atmosphere." Commander Vexthar bowed slightly. "They have colonies on their fourth planet and one of the gas giant moons. Their weapons are primitive but surprisingly effective within their limitations." Kha'Zix nodded. "The Galactic Axian Empire has conquered more advanced civilizations. These humans will serve us well. Should we begin the standard procedure, Emperor?" "Yes. Neutralize their outer defenses first, then send the message." Back on Earth, Admiral Gregory Nash stood in the Military Command Center beneath Washington. DC reports were coming in from space stations and orbital platforms throughout the solar system. "We've lost contact with Europa Station," an officer reported. Mars colony reports unusual energy readings near Phobos. Gregory rubbed his temples. What about the horizon? Captain Heller is pushing the engines to their limits. ETA to Earth. Orbit is 36 hours. That might not be soon enough, Gregory muttered. In Nevada, Allison worked with her team to analyze every piece of data they could gather about the approaching ships. The largest was massive, at least 20 miles long. The others varied in size but moved in perfect formation. They're military vessels, she told Jack. No civilian fleet moves with that kind of precision. Jack looked pale. What do they want? I don't know. But they're not trying to hide anymore. They want us to see them coming. At the United Nations, an emergency session brought together representatives from every nation. The mood was grim as they viewed the satellite images. We need to prepare for contact, said the Secretary General, and for the possibility that their intentions are not peaceful. Military strategist Carol Bennett stood to address the assembly. Our planetary defenses are substantial, but we know nothing about their technology. We should assume they are superior in every way. Are you suggesting we surrender without a fight? Demanded the Russian representative. No, Carol replied calmly. I'm suggesting we prepare for one while hoping for peace. In orbit around Earth, the first defensive satellites detected the approaching fleet. Automated systems activated, scanning the unknown vessels. Without warning, 3 of the satellites exploded in brilliant flashes of light. In the Nevada Observatory, alarms blared. Allison rushed to the main screen. They're taking out our early warning systems, she said, her voice tight. This is not a peaceful contact. Around the world, military forces went on high alert. Fighter jets scrambled, missile systems armed, and submarines moved into defensive positions. But deep in their hearts, each commander knew the same truth. If these visitors could cross the stars, Earth's weapons might be useless against them. On the UEF horizon, Captain Frank Heller received the news of the defensive satellite destruction. Push the engines beyond safety protocols, he ordered. We need to get back to Earth now. Captain, Susan said quietly, even at maximum burn, we won't make it before they do. Frank nodded grimly. Then we prepare for the worst. In the deep quiet of space, the Empire fleet moved methodically through the solar system, neutralizing each human outpost they encountered. Not destroying them, just disabling communications and defenses. From his command ship, Emperor Kha'Zix watched with satisfaction. Send the ambassador vessel. Let them know their new masters have arrived. As dawn broke over Earth's major cities, millions of people looked up to see a new light in the sky. A silver dot growing larger by the hour. News broadcasts showed the same scene from different angles as panic began to spread. In the military command center, Admiral Nash received the message that would change human history forever. Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies, in perfect English. The message was simple. People of Earth, the Galactic Axian Empire claims this system. You have 72 hours to surrender. Resistance is futile. The world held its breath. Humanity stood on the edge of a new era, one in which they were no longer alone and no longer the most powerful species in their corner of the galaxy. But deep below the Nevada desert, in a facility unknown even to most of the government, the true nature of Earth's only hope waited. A technology born from a secret first contact 15 years earlier. A weapon that would send one terrifying warning to the would-be conquerors. The Empire targeted Earth and received just one terrifying warning part. The Empire's message echoed across every screen and speaker on Earth. 72 hours to surrender. World leaders gathered in emergency sessions while civilians crowded into churches, temples, and open spaces, looking to the sky with fear and confusion. Dr. Olivia Carter sat in her lab at MIT, listening to the broadcast for the 20th time. As the world's leading expert in language patterns, something about the message bothered her. Play it again, she told her computer. Isolate all frequencies. The message played once more, but this time Olivia noticed something hidden beneath. The words, a subtle pattern of sounds too regular to be accidental. There's more here, she whispered, fingers flying across her keyboard. They're sending additional information we can't consciously hear. After 3 hours of analysis, Olivia made her discovery. The hidden frequencies contained detailed instructions for Earth's surrender, including plans for processing humans into labor groups. The Empire didn't just want Earth's resources, they wanted its people. Olivia's hands shook as she called the emergency response number she'd been given. "This is Dr. Carter. I need to speak to whoever is in charge immediately." At the Pentagon, military and government leaders debated their options. Some argued for immediate surrender to save lives. Others insisted on fighting despite the overwhelming odds. "Their technology is generations beyond ours," said General Scott Wilson. "Our best weapons would be like throwing rocks at a tank." "So we just give up?" asked the Secretary of Defense. "Let them take our planet without a fight?" The door opened and a woman in her 50s walked in without waiting to be announced. Carol Bennett had spent 20 years in military intelligence before becoming the government's top strategist for unexpected threats. "Neither," she said. "We have a third option." The room fell silent as Carol stepped to the front. "What I'm about to tell you has been classified beyond top secret for 15 years. She pressed a button, and the lights dimmed. A holographic image appeared showing a small craft crashed in a desert landscape. In 2065, this ship crashed in the Mojave Desert. It wasn't from the Empire, but its pilot knew them well. Before dying, he shared critical information about their technology and weaknesses. Shocked murmurs filled the room. "Why weren't we informed?" demanded the vice president. "Need to know only," Carol replied. "We've been using the technology from that crash to develop Project Deterrent. On the UEF horizon, Captain Frank Heller received new orders directly from Admiral Nash. The message was brief but clear. Return to Earth at all costs, but stay out of sight." The horizon carried experimental technology that might be humanity's last hope. Frank gathered his crew on the bridge. "New mission parameters. We're to approach Earth from behind the moon, using its shadow to mask our signature." Lieutenant Susan Miller looked concerned. "The Empire ships will spot us the moment we break cover. We only need to stay hidden long enough to deploy the package," Frank said. "After that, it won't matter if they see us." In Nevada, Allison Gray worked with Alan Murphy to analyze the Empire fleet's movements. They had established a geosynchronous orbit over major cities, their massive ships casting shadows visible from the ground. "They're positioning for a coordinated attack," Alan said grimly. "Standard military doctrine, surround and isolate before striking." Allison nodded. "But they're waiting. Why give us 72 hours if they could just attack now? They want us intact," Alan realized. "A ruined planet is worthless to them." In Washington, a diplomatic team led by Keith Larson prepared to meet the Empire's representatives. As Earth's most experienced negotiator, Keith harbored no illusions about their chances but knew they needed to buy time. "Remember," he told his team, "our job is to delay, to learn anything we can about their intentions and weaknesses." The meeting was set to take place in neutral airspace, aboard a special aircraft hovering over the Atlantic Ocean. As Keith's plane approached the rendezvous point, he saw the Empire's shuttle, sleek, silver, and impossibly silent as it matched his aircraft's speed. 3 Empire representatives boarded through an airlock connection. They looked almost human, but their skin had a faint blue tint and their eyes were entirely black. The tallest one spoke in perfect English. "I am Zor, voice of Emperor Kha'Zix. We are pleased you have chosen the path of reason," Keith maintained, a neutral expression. "We haven't chosen any path yet. We're here to discuss terms." Zor smiled without warmth. "The terms are simple. Complete surrender of all government authority to the Empire. Your people will serve as productive members of our civilization. Resistance will result in the elimination of your species." "That's not negotiation," Keith replied. "That's dictation." "Precisely." Zor placed a small device on the table. "This contains the detailed protocols for transition of power. You have 68 hours remaining." Back at the Pentagon, Carol Bennett revealed more about Project Deterrent. "The alien who crashed told us the Empire doesn't just conquer, they harvest. They're millions of years old, sustained by consuming the neural energy of conquered species." showed them schematics of a device unlike anything Earth's engineers had designed. This isn't a conventional weapon. It's a signal that disrupts their neural harvesting technology. If activated, it would make Earth indigestible. "And you're sure it will work?" asked the president. "No," Carol admitted. "But it's the only card we have left to play." In her lab, Olivia Carter made another breakthrough. The hidden frequencies in the Empire's message contained something else. References to previous conquests and a curious absence. "They're afraid of something," she told her assistant. "There's a specific frequency they avoid entirely, like it causes them pain." Deep beneath the Nevada desert, in the secret facility Carol had mentioned, a team of scientists made final adjustments to a massive transmitter array. Designed using the crashed aliens' technology, it could broadcast a signal that would reach every corner of the solar system. The device had never been tested at full power. No one knew exactly what would happen when it activated. On the Empire command ship, Emperor Kha'Zix reviewed the initial scans of Earth's defenses. "Primitive weapons, as expected," he told Commander Vexthar. "Their most advanced vessel is hiding behind their moon." "Shall we destroy it?" Vexthar asked. "Not yet. Let them think they're being clever." Kha'Zix studied the holographic display of Earth. "This species has unusual neural patterns. They will provide excellent sustenance for many centuries." As the second day of the ultimatum drew to a close, Earth's response came together. Military forces remained on high alert, but no aggressive moves were made. The diplomatic team requested another meeting with Zor, claiming they needed clarification on several points. Meanwhile, the UEF Horizon silently maneuvered into position. Captain Frank Heller received the final authorization codes from Admiral Nash. "Once we activate this," Frank told his crew, "there's no going back. The Empire will know exactly where we are and what we've done." Susan Miller stood at his side. "Better to go down fighting, sir." Frank nodded. "Prepare the transmitter." In the Situation Room beneath the White House, the President of the United States prepared to address the world. Behind closed doors, leaders had already agreed to Carol Bennett's plan, despite its risks. "People of Earth," the President began, her voice steady. "For 2 days we have faced an ultimatum from those who would make us slaves. Today we send our answer." Across the globe, military and civilian communication systems synchronized to broadcast a single message to the Empire fleet. Not a declaration of war or surrender, but 8 simple words. This is not a warning. It is a promise. The command ship, Emperor Kha'Zix, received the transmission with amusement. Such bravado from a doomed species. He gave the order to begin the first phase of conquest. But as Empire ships moved to attack positions, no one noticed the UEF Horizon activating its special transmitter, or the facility deep beneath the Nevada desert powering up its massive array. Earth's true response was about to be delivered. The Empire targeted Earth and received just one terrifying warning. Part 3. Emperor Kha'Zix laughed as he read Earth's response. Many planets had tried to resist the Empire over thousands of years. All had failed. This primitive world would be no different. "Begin the attack," he ordered Commander Vexthar. "Disable their defensive systems first." "Yes, Emperor." Vexthar bowed. "The first wave is already moving into position." On screens across Earth, people watched as hundreds of smaller ships launched from the Empire's massive vessels. They moved with perfect coordination, like a flock of birds, heading toward military installations and communication centers. In the Pentagon War Room, Admiral Nash monitored the approaching attack. "All stations report Empire ships incoming," an officer announced. "They're targeting our missile defense systems and major military bases." "Hold fire until my command," Nash ordered. "We need to wait for the signal." At the Nevada facility, scientists activated the giant transmitter. Built from technology provided by the crashed alien 15 years ago, it was designed to broadcast a very specific frequency, one that the alien had claimed would disrupt the Empire's neural network. Dr. Alan Murphy supervised the power-up sequence. "Transmitter at 40% capacity. Signal is stable." "Keep going," Carol Bennett urged. "We need full power." Alan looked worried. The system was never designed to run at full capacity. We don't know what will happen. We don't have a choice. Carol replied. It's this or surrender. In orbit, the UEF Horizon emerged from behind the moon, its own smaller transmitter already active. Captain Frank Heller watched as Empire fighters changed course to intercept his ship. They've spotted us, Lieutenant Susan Miller reported. Multiple hostiles approaching. Evasive maneuvers, Frank ordered. Keep that transmitter online at all costs. The Horizon pulled into a tight turn, its engines straining as Empire ships closed in. The first shots fired across space. Energy, beams that cut through the darkness, narrowly missing the human vessel. Return fire, Frank commanded. The Horizon's weapons seemed pitiful compared to the Empire's technology, but they fought anyway. Across Earth, the first attacks began. Empire ships fired precision strikes at military bases, power plants, and communication towers. They didn't target civilian areas, not yet. They wanted the planet intact. People watched in horror as familiar landmarks disappeared in flashes of light. The Empire's weapons left no rubble, just perfect circles of emptiness where buildings once stood. In her lab at MIT, Dr. Olivia Carter worked frantically to decode more of the hidden messages in the Empire's communications. A pattern began to emerge, references to a harvest frequency that seemed central to their technology. That's it, she whispered. She grabbed her phone and called the emergency number. This is Dr. Carter. I need to speak to whoever is running Project Deterrent immediately. When Carol Bennett came on the line, Olivia explained her discovery. Their entire technology is based on a specific quantum frequency. It's how they maintain their neural network across vast distances. It's also how they harvest consciousness from other species. And, Carol pressed, and if we broadcast on the exact opposite frequency, we might be able to disrupt their entire fleet at once. In Nevada, Alan Murphy received the new frequency calculations from Olivia. He adjusted the transmitter settings, his hands steady despite the pressure. New frequency locked in, he reported. Transmitter at 60% power and rising. Around the world, the first human casualties mounted. Military forces fought back with everything they had, but their weapons barely dented the Empire ships. Fighter jets exploded in mid-air. Submarines were pulled from the ocean by invisible forces. Soldiers watched helplessly as their equipment failed. In Washington, D.C., Empire troops landed for the first time. Tall, blue-skinned soldiers moved through the streets with strange weapons. They didn't kill everyone. They captured some, tagging them like animals and loading them onto transport ships. The president broadcast one final message from a hidden bunker. People of Earth, do not lose hope. The fight is not over. Our response has begun. On the Empire command ship, Emperor Kha'Zix received the first reports of the ground invasion. Excellent, he said. Begin processing the initial specimens. I wish to sample their neural patterns personally. But then something unexpected happened. A junior officer approached nervously. Emperor, we're detecting an unusual signal from the planet's surface. It appears to be causing minor disruptions in our secondary systems. Kha'Zix frowned. What kind of signal? Unknown, Emperor. But it's growing stronger. In Nevada, the transmitter reached 80% power. The facility shook with the energy coursing through it. Lights flickered and warning alarms blared. Structural integrity failing, a technician called out. We can't maintain this level much longer. We have to, Carol insisted. Push it to full power. In orbit, the UEF Horizon took heavy damage. One engine was gone and half the crew was either dead or injured. But the ship's transmitter still functioned, adding its signal to the one from Earth. Captain Frank Heller helped a wounded crew member to a medical station. Status report, he demanded. Susan Miller looked up from her damaged console. Hull breaches, on decks 3 through 5, weapon systems offline, but the transmitter is still functioning. Frank nodded. That's all that matters now. On Empire ships across the solar system, strange malfunctions began to occur. Navigation systems failed, weapons misfired, communication channels filled with static. Commander Vexthar reported to the Emperor with increasing concern. The malfunctions are spreading, Emperor. Multiple ships report critical systems failing. For the first time, Kha'Zix felt a flicker of worry. Identify the source of the interference and destroy it. But it was already too late. The signal from Earth reached full strength, broadcasting the exact opposite frequency to the Empire's neural network. The effect was immediate and devastating. Empire soldiers collapsed mid-step. Their weapons shut down. Ships lost power and drifted in orbit. The carefully coordinated attack fell into chaos. On the command ship, Emperor Kha'Zix clutched his head, in pain. "Impossible," he gasped. These primitives couldn't possibly know about the frequency. In the Nevada facility, Alan Murphy watched in amazement as their monitoring systems showed Empire ships going dark. "It's working," he told Carol. "Their systems are failing across the board." Carol didn't celebrate yet. "Keep the transmitter running. We need to push the signal as far as possible." The UEF horizon, badly damaged but still functioning, continued, broadcasting even as Empire ships around it lost power. Captain Frank Heller ordered his remaining crew to prepare boarding parties. "Their ships are vulnerable. We need to gather as much intelligence as we can before they recover." On Earth, people emerged from shelters to see Empire soldiers lying, motionless in the streets. The massive ships that had threatened them now floated silently above major cities, dark and seemingly lifeless. In the Pentagon War Room, Admiral Nash received reports from around the world. Empire forces are down in all sectors. Their ground troops are incapacitated. But he knew better than to declare victory too soon. Maintain all defensive positions. This could be temporary. On the Empire command ship, Emperor Kha'Zix struggled to overcome the pain in his head. After thousands of years of conquest, he had never encountered a defense like this. How? He demanded of no one in particular. How did they know? As the signal continued to broadcast, a new and unexpected development occurred. The Empire's quantum-based technology began to react in ways no one had predicted. Energy fields formed around their ships. Strange lights pulsed inside the vessels. Dr. Olivia Carter, monitoring the effects from her lab, noticed something unusual in the readings. The signal isn't just disrupting their technology, she realized. It's changing it. What had begun as Earth's desperate defense was becoming something more. A force that would reshape the conflict in ways no one, human or Empire, could have imagined. The Empire targeted Earth and received just one terrifying warning part. For a strange blue light pulsed through the Empire ships. Their metal hulls vibrated as the signal from Earth continued to broadcast. What had begun as a defensive measure was becoming something more complex and unpredictable. In the Nevada facility, alarms blared as the transmitter pushed beyond its design limits. Walls cracked and equipment sparked. Dr. Alan Murphy stared at his readings in disbelief. "The signal is changing," he told Carol Bennett. "It's evolving on its own, becoming more complex." Carol looked concerned. "Is it still working against the Empire?" "Yes, but it's doing something else too, something we didn't plan for." On the UF horizon, Captain Frank Heller led a small team aboard the nearest disabled Empire ship. They moved cautiously through dark corridors, oxygen masks protecting them from the alien atmosphere. "Stay alert," Frank warned. "We don't know if any of them are still active." The boarding party found Empire crew members slumped at their stations, alive but unresponsive. Their skin had turned from blue to a pale gray, and strange patterns flowed beneath their skin like moving tattoos. "What's happening to them?" Susan Miller asked, keeping her distance. Frank shook his head. "I don't know. But we need to gather as much intelligence as possible before they wake up." The team downloaded data from Empire computers and collected samples of their technology. Everything about the ship was strange. The walls seemed almost alive, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. In the orbit around Earth, Emperor Kha'Zix fought against the pain in his head. Unlike his crew, he had lived for thousands of years by consuming the neural energy of countless species. His body had changed over time, becoming more energy than matter. "This cannot be," he snarled. "No primitive species has ever resisted the harvest." He forced himself to stand, pushing through the agony. Through sheer will, he activated an emergency system that shielded his command center from the signal. "Vexthar," he called to his commander. "Respond." Commander Vexthar stirred, his movements slow and uncertain. "Emperor, what is happening to us?" "The humans have found a way to disrupt our neural network. We must adapt." Kha'Zix moved to the main control panel. "Prepare the planetary bombardment. If we cannot harvest them, we will destroy them." Earth Dr. Olivia Carter made another breakthrough. Studying the Empire communications, she had pieced together more of their history and their weakness. "The Empire isn't a normal civilization," she explained to military leaders over a secure video link. "They're parasites. They don't just conquer planets for resources or territory. They harvest the neural patterns of intelligent species to sustain their own immortality." "How does this help us?" Admiral Nash asked. "The alien who crashed 15 years ago wasn't running from the Empire by accident. He was a rebel scientist who chose Earth specifically." Olivia leaned forward. "Our brains are unique. We have neural pathways that are different from any species they've encountered before. In Nevada, the transmitter facility began to collapse. Concrete fell from the ceiling as technicians ran for safety. "We need to evacuate," Alan shouted over the noise. "The whole place is coming down." Carol grabbed his arm. "What about the transmitter? We can't let it stop." "It's self-sustaining now," Alan explained as they rushed toward the exit. "The signal has taken on a life of its own. It doesn't need the facility anymore." As they reached the surface, the ground shook. The facility imploded, sinking into the earth. But from the crater rose a column of blue-white light that shot into the sky. In Washington, D.C., the president watched satellite footage of the light column. "What are we looking at?" she asked her advisors. No one had a clear answer. The phenomenon defied conventional physics. The energy column expanded, sending waves of light across the continent. On the Empire command ship, Emperor Kha'Zix felt the change immediately. The signal was growing stronger, not weaker. It penetrated his shielded chamber, tearing at the very essence of his being. "Launch the attack now," he ordered Vexthar. "Destroy their major cities." Despite the continuing disruptions, some Empire ships managed to fire their weapons. Energy beams struck Earth's surface, carving deep wounds in the land. Cities in Europe, Asia, and North America were hit, causing massive destruction. Captain Frank Heller and his team rushed back to the horizon. As the Empire ship they had boarded began to power up again. "They're adapting to the signal," Frank reported to Admiral Nash. "We need a new strategy." "Return to Earth," Nash ordered. "We're gathering all remaining forces for a final defense." The horizon limped toward Earth, its damaged engines struggling. Behind them, Empire ships were recovering, their systems finding ways to work despite the signal's interference. Dr. Alan Murphy and Carol Bennett were rushed to a secondary facility in the Rocky Mountains. There, they found Dr. Olivia Carter, already working with a team of scientists. "I've deciphered more of the aliens' original message," Olivia told them. "The signal isn't just a weapon, it's a key." "A key to what?" Carol asked. "To the Empire's technology. The alien who crashed here was trying to give us a way to not just fight the Empire, but to replace it." Alan looked skeptical. "Replace an Empire that spans hundreds of star systems? How?" Olivia pointed to her computer screen, which showed complex patterns evolving in real time. "The signal is creating a new kind of network. Not one that harvests consciousness, but one that connects it. That's why it's evolving on its own. It's becoming a collective intelligence." Around the world, something strange began to happen. The fallen Empire soldiers started to move again, but differently. Their eyes had changed from solid black to a luminous blue. When they spoke, it wasn't with their previous cold authority, but with confusion and wonder. "Where am I?" one asked a frightened group of humans in London. "What has happened to me?" In orbit, half the Empire fleet had recovered enough to begin a massive attack. Commander Vexthar, following the Emperor's orders, targeted Earth's most populous cities for destruction, but other Empire ships turned against them, their weapons firing on their own kind. The space around Earth erupted in battle as the fleet fought itself. On the command ship, Emperor Kha'Zix watched in fury as his forces divided. The signal had done more than disrupt his technology. It had infected it, changed it at its core. This cannot be allowed, he raged. His body began to glow with accumulated neural energy as he prepared to personally enter the battle. After thousands of years of harvesting other species, Kha'Zix had become something beyond physical. He was a being of pure energy, sustained by stolen consciousness. Now he would use that power to crush this troublesome planet once and for all. On Earth, the scientists watched as their monitors showed a new energy signature emerging from the Empire command ship. "What is that?" Carol asked, pointing to the brilliant light growing in orbit. Olivia's face paled as she realized what was happening. "That's the Emperor, and he's coming for us." The final confrontation between Earth and the Empire was about to begin, with the fate of not just humanity but countless other species hanging in the balance. The Empire targeted Earth and received just one terrifying warning. Part 5 Emperor Kha'Zix descended toward Earth, his form a blinding star of energy. Thousands of years of consuming other beings had transformed him from physical matter into something else, a creature of pure power and stolen consciousness. In the Rocky Mountain facility, scientists watched in horror as their instruments tracked his approach. "What can we do against something like that?" Carol Bennett asked, her usual confidence shaken. Dr. Olivia Carter studied the data flowing across her screens. "The signal is still evolving. It's creating new patterns faster than I can track them." "But will it be enough?" Dr. Alan Murphy wondered, aloud. None of them had an answer. The UEF horizon limped into Earth's atmosphere, its hull glowing red from the heat of re-entry. Captain Frank Heller and his remaining crew had one final mission: to reach the Rocky Mountain facility with the data they had collected from the Empire ship. "We're being followed," Lieutenant Susan Miller reported, checking the radar. "Multiple Empire vessels on our tail." Frank pushed the damaged engines harder. "Just keep us airborne long enough to reach the mountains." Across the world, the battle continued. Some Empire soldiers fought against humans, while others, changed by the signal, fought to protect them. The divided Empire fleet engaged in a chaotic battle above Earth, their advanced weapons turning against each other. In cities and towns, people looked up to see a new light in the sky, brighter than the sun, moving with purpose. Emperor Kha'Zix was coming. Admiral Nash coordinated Earth's remaining military forces from a mobile command center. "All units prepare to engage the primary target," he ordered, knowing full well how futile it might be. Jets scrambled, missiles launched, and ground-based energy weapons fired at the approaching entity. But everything passed through Kha'Zix's energy form without effect. He continued his descent unstoppable. In the facility, Olivia made a sudden connection. "The neural patterns," she said, eyes wide with realization. "That's why the alien chose Earth." "What do you mean?" Carol asked. "Humans have a unique neural architecture, more chaotic, more creative than the species the Empire usually conquers. The signal isn't just disrupting their technology. It's using our neural patterns as a template to create something new." The ground shook as Emperor Kha'Zix landed outside the Rocky Mountain facility. His energy form burned through concrete and steel as if they were paper. Soldiers fired weapons that had no effect. Carol ordered an evacuation. "Get the scientists out through the emergency tunnels. We need to protect the data at all costs." But Olivia refused to leave her station. "We're close to something. I can feel it." The ceiling tore open and brilliant light flooded the room. Emperor Kha'Zix had arrived. "Primitive creatures," his voice thundered, though he had no mouth to speak with. "You cannot stand against me. I have consumed worlds older than your entire civilization." Olivia stood her ground. "And yet here we are, standing." The Emperor's form flared brighter with anger. "Your resistance is unprecedented but meaningless. I will harvest every consciousness on this planet, starting with yours." As he moved toward Olivia, Alan and Carol tried to protect her, but they were easily pushed aside by waves of energy. Just then, the UEF horizon crashed through the damaged roof, its hull breaking apart on impact. Captain Frank Heller jumped from the burning wreckage carrying a small device taken from the Empire ship. "This belongs to you," he said, sliding the device across the floor to Olivia. She recognized it immediately from the crashed alien's descriptions: a neural interface, the core technology of the Empire's consciousness harvesting system. As Emperor Kha'Zix lunged toward them, Olivia connected the device to her computer. The signal pattern on her screen changed instantly, becoming more complex, more powerful. "What have you done?" Kha'Zix demanded, his energy form flickering. "Completed the circuit," Olivia replied. "The alien who crashed here didn't just give us a weapon against you. He gave us your replacement." The signal, already broadcasting worldwide, surged to new strength. The neural interface amplified it, sending the pattern not just across Earth but back through the Empire's own network, reaching every ship and every world they had conquered. Emperor Kha'Zix writhed in agony. "Impossible. No single species can control the network." "We're not trying to control it," Olivia explained. "We're setting it free, all across the galaxy on hundreds of planets conquered by the Empire." The signal spread. Empire technology, designed to harvest and control consciousness, began to transform. The neural networks that had enslaved countless species now connected them. Instead, Emperor Kha'Zix's form began to break apart. "I have lived for thousands of years. I cannot be destroyed by primitives." "We're not destroying you," Frank said, standing tall despite his injuries. "We're taking back what you stole." The Emperor's energy body fractured, releasing countless points of light, the individual consciousnesses he had consumed over millennia. They swirled around the room before dispersing, finally free after centuries of imprisonment. Where Emperor Kha'Zix had stood, only a small, withered body remained, his original form before he began consuming others. Outside the facility, the fighting stopped. Empire soldiers stood down, their eyes now clear, as if waking from a long dream. The divided fleet ceased fire, ships hovering silently in the sky. Days later, as Earth began to rebuild, the true scope of what had happened became clear. The signal had transformed the Empire's harvesting network into something new, a connection between species that allowed communication and understanding instead of conquest. The Empire ships departed, not as conquerors but as refugees returning to free their home worlds. They left behind knowledge and technology as thanks for Earth's unexpected gift of liberation. In the White House, now partially rebuilt, the president met with the heroes of the conflict. "The alien who crashed here 15 years ago," she said to Olivia. "He chose us specifically, didn't he?" Olivia nodded. "He studied thousands of species across the galaxy. He was looking for the right neural pattern, one that could transform the network instead of being consumed by it." "Why humans?" Admiral Nash asked. "Because of how we think," Carol explained. "Our capacity for both logical and creative thought, our ability to cooperate and yet remain individuals. We were the key he needed." Frank Heller, his arm in a sling, looked out the window at the Empire ship still visible in orbit. "What happens now?" "Now," Olivia said, "we join the galaxy, not as conquerors or victims but as equals. The network connects hundreds of worlds, thousands of species. We have much to learn from each other." A year later, the first human ships equipped with Empire technology departed for the stars. They carried scientists, diplomats, and explorers, representatives of Earth to the wider galaxy. And they carried a warning for any who might consider conquest over cooperation. In the vastness of space, a lone ship approached a distant world, with thoughts of easy conquest. As they prepared to attack, a signal reached them, not a plea for mercy or a threat of destruction, but a simple message. "This is Earth. We are watching." The ship turned and fled. The warning had been received.